Hey guys, it's Nichole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. Welcome back to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. I'm your host, Nichole Eaton, author of the book, Rock Your Soul, The Down-to-Earth Guide to Mastering Your Mind and Soul Therapist. And today I am joined by one of my favorite people. This is a person who positively changed my life in like more ways than 10. And I'm so excited to have Jarin Kenyon, motivational speaker, manifestation teacher, human design specialist, and co-host of the Rise Up radio show, joining me today. Hi, Jarin.
Hi, Nichole. Thank you for having me on. After a few years of a little gap, it's nice to be back connected with you.
It's so nice to be connecting with you. Now, I have to tell you, and I don't know if I've ever told you this, but I think when I first started my journey with owning my business, with starting kind of even my intuitive journey, I connected with Jarin through his mother, I think, right?
Yes.
Through your wonderful mother. Shout out to Jarin Kenyon. But you absolutely changed the way I do and view everything. Like, you are the person who gave me understandings about myself and how I work in the world that literally changed everything for me. I don't know if I've ever thanked you for that, but I do want to thank you for that.
Wow, thank you. I'm humbled and getting goosebumps. No, you never said it like that. Well,
yeah.
Thank you so much. You're a power yourself. Even though we have different designs, which we're going to talk about, and different personalities aspects, I think we have a few things in common. And one thing that I get from you is your strength and your perseverance and your willpower to, live your passion and do what you want to do and care and, be more focused on yourself, regardless of what society or anybody else thinks. You follow your own path. And that's the thing I admire most about you. And I see some similarities in that with us. So thank you.
Agreed. So I wanted to bring you on because one of the things that you taught me is about human design. And I mentioned this a couple of podcasts ago. I just briefly mentioned the power of human design, but human design has absolutely changed my life. And I don't know, can you give everybody just like a little idea of like what it is or like where it came from?
Sure. So I've been practicing human design for about 12 years now. And it was brought into the world in the late 80s, right around the harmonic convergence. So when a lot of new things were birthed on the earth is when human design was. And what separates it first and foremost is that it's not just a personality test, which most other systems are built on, which is just when you're born and they give that birth date. And then that's the energy of the planets and what you were born into and imprinted with. It also has what is they call your design or your subconscious self, which is around 88 days before you're born. So before you're actually born, the baby becomes conscious. The baby wakes up in its mother's womb and it recognizes itself and it knows it's alive. So around 6 months into the pregnancy is really when you take on the hardware of the planetary system at that moment. And that's really what's below the surface. And that's honestly how your body operates, what feeds it, what makes it thrive, how it's designed to work. And then when you're born, you have the personality that goes along with it. So you can learn your conscious and your subconscious self. So you're not just utilizing, let's say, 5% of your power, which is what I believe most systems are as a personality test. It's all 100% because the subconscious in the body is so much stronger and has so much more to it that we don't see. So you literally can start to learn a little bit your superhero suit and how your body is designed to manifest and to work in life. So that's what separates it the most to me right up front. And then the other aspect is how many things it's built off of. So it's largely built off of astrology at the 2 times, so 88 days before birth as well as at birth. And then how that affects your DNA. So this is literally your energetic DNA pattern behind the DNA. It's your real DNA. And the two of them combine then to create different gates and channels and aspects in your chart that are either masculine or feminine. And human design really depicts masculine and feminine to me on a much more clear and even practical level than what I see in a lot of systems. So where you're colored or shaded in is where you're consistent and where you're masculine. And this is what you're going to bring out consistently and experience within yourself consistently. And then where you're feminine is where you're white. And that's what you're going to be receiving from the field and from other people and from transits in astrology, whatever may be going on at the time, which you're not normally used to. But in that moment, you're amplifying and you're feeling and you're reflecting back to others. So it gives that map to look at where you're masculine and where you're feminine. And then lastly, it's also using the I Ching, the Chinese hexagram, the Kabbalah, okay, is very big in it, as well as your chakra system. So it shows your chakra system, but in a 9-centered way. We're conventionally taught that the chakras we have 7 major chakras in the body, but in the human design system, which is really the new human body, the crystalline light body or structure that many talk about, is 9 centers. And so you can see the 9 centers, again, whether they're masculine or feminine. And then lastly, it has quantum mechanics and astrophysics, all comprised into one graph that, for the most part, is you and only you. There's about 14 billion combinations of possibility, and there's only 7 billion people on the planet. So no one is the same. Relatively, twins can be close, but if you actually go farther into the chart than even the conventional charts are, you'll see more differences as it goes along. So it's very specific. It's not just today is a day, so everybody has this birthday and this, astrological energy. It's down to the minute and down to very, very specific aspects that make it you. So you're looking at you from an energetic standpoint.
Yes. And just for anybody who's like, I have never heard of human design in my life, I think one of the things that you said a while back was like, it is the blueprint for how you, like who you are as a person. It's how you best interact. And I think that's like the key for me with human design, is understanding where my power is and where it's not.
Mm-hmm.
How I can best interact with other people, how I can best support other people. And I love it. I know when I was in New York, I worked with Christy. We did Clarity, and Christy Forsyth, you should follow her if you haven't already. But we did Clarity together, and one of the things that we worked really well on was knowing what our strengths were based on our design and what we needed to invite the other into, what we needed to slow the other one down about. So I think it's a really great tool if you're looking for, how can I be a better version of myself? How can I make sure I'm doing the things the way I was designed to do them? And I think it's been totally life-changing. Where do you recommend people go to get their charts these days? What is how can someone pause, stop, go Google their chart, and then come back to this conversation?
Well, honestly, stay tuned, because there's some new ones that are be up and coming in 2021. But as for now, jovianarchive.com, JOVIAN archive.com is a great website, or there's humandesignamerica.com is another website, and you can access your free chart there. It's always free to plug in your information, and they'll give you a chart, and they may give you a little bit about yourself, not too much. It's pretty generic. So once you access your chart, then you can go down the rabbit hole in YouTube and Google and everywhere. There's human design all over the planet now, and you'll see tons of people, whether videos or reading about it, that'll talk about it. I can't guarantee that all that information is the most accurate. As you know, with a lot of people, everybody's going to have their own look and perception of it. So you have to be discerning of that. But there's so much information, and then there's several books that people can order to go down the rabbit hole. You either start to practice studying yourself, or you work with someone like myself or someone else that works with human design that can really give you a leap forward by looking at it. So
okay, perfect. So if you haven't got a chart yet, you don't know your design, go just grab that really quick so that you can come back and have a sense of, we're going to talk about primarily the types. I think that's the most just basic starter point. But go grab that and come back. But where should we start? Where do you feel called to start,
I want to
Jarin?
just feed off of what you said about how it helps relationships, because that's really to me, number one of what it can do in your life. Besides how you individually work, the people that you're closest to, even if they don't have a conscious awareness of it, but you do at least to start, it helps you, as you said, be able to engage with them and know how to trigger them in a positive way. And it helps you let them be who they are. Because to me, the majority of human suffering is us just not being able to be who we are. We either aren't being it ourselves, or we're being shut down from it, from the outside world. And so human design can really help you do that. And then what happens is your masculine energy conditions the other person's feminine and vice versa. And then it forms catalysts and different talents and gifts that you normally wouldn't have individually, that you only have with that other person. And once you start to do that, such as what you and Christy did, then you start to become in a symphony of each other's talents. And I just want to preface that they're not weaknesses. So when we have our strengths, it's not that the ones that are feminine are weaknesses. They're actually wisdom. And it's actually how we're designed to support and engage others and be receptive to help in. So when you start to learn and accept what's not really your thing and what you don't really excel at and what you don't really even want to pay attention to, you can let other people do what they do best. And then you start to work in a more of a quantum world based on body energy that can manifest by each person being who they are. So I thought it was really important to mention the power that it can have with relationships.
Absolutely. And I think I like what you said, is letting people do what they're best at and knowing when to and how to invite them in, or if you should invite them in. But like I said, that has been a game changer for me. And it's really cool because as I've gotten to know human design better, my intuition is very strong at like determining what people are before I even take a look at their chart. I can feel the energy of somebody who's a generator or somebody who's a projector. And it's always helpful. Like I've never come across anybody who learned more about their human design and was like, no, this was a waste of my time. If they really listen to it and really implement it, it's a total game changer. So I hope you guys are listening and paying attention and getting out a notepad and paper, because this is so important for who you're going to become. Because I really feel like 2020 has been so essential at like shaping people into like getting rid of all the old stuff, getting rid of the stuff that's not working, and shaping people into who they're about to be. And so this is a perfect time to listen. But yes, relationships are I think, most vital piece of this. Understanding your spouse or your partner, or understanding your employees or your business partner or your friendships. Like this is total game changer.
Absolutely. And the thing about this is that if you go down deeper and deeper, it is very complex and it becomes very specific, and you can basically go almost forever in learning about it. I still think I probably don't even know half of myself, to be honest. It goes deeper and deeper. However, what we're going to talk about today a little bit of, and there are parts that really are very simple and practical, which is what I love about human design, is because you can actually use it like almost instantaneously. Once you learn a few aspects and you start to surrender to your body a little bit, or let's say engage your body in its right direction, you will see results immediately. And you'll actually be able to become more conscious in a way of the matrix and how the mechanics work, from really easy and practical ways. So as much as it's specific and very in-depth, I really want to tell people that if you're not interested in getting all mental about things and trying to memorize and live perfectly, that's not really what it's about. What it's about is you can plug A, B, and C together and on simple ways, and all of a sudden transform your life and honestly manifest 10, 20 times faster than you have before, as well as clearing out negative habits and blocks and frustrations that you're having just by learning a couple of the basic parts. And yep.
And just even like I was just thinking of, one of the things that was a really big aha moment for me was I always felt like I was a different person with everybody I met. And I always thought that was like a character flaw of like, why can't I just be like a strong person across all boards? Or why does this person bring out this, side of me, or this person brings out this side of me? But human design helped me understand that, I really pull from other people's energy, and it defines different parts of me when I'm with them. And so I would love to dive right into, can we start
Of
with like
course.
the
Yep.
types? Let's hear a quick word from our sponsor. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
Yep. So the types is the first part that I definitely recommend people to look at. It's the first aspect of differentiating yourself from others. And there's 5 types of people. And I can tell you that having worked probably with more than 1,500 people, looking at their charts, even memorizing probably a third of those charts within people, people are defined by that type a lot. It gets very unique after that. So this is a generic reading at the start. However, it is really the foundation of where you create from and where your mind wants to go in regards to what you're evolving to next or what you're creating next. So the 5 types, the most common type is called a generator, which is about 40% of the world, which are the powerhouses of energy. They're the sustainability of projects, the sustainability of foundations, it's the primal life source. So the life force, the life source that makes the world go round is from generator energy, which everybody has. So it's not saying that generators have that and the other types do not. It's just that generators have that consistently. So they're designed to be active, to be busy, and to be doing, and to have their hands on things. And that's a gift. However, most generators are trying to push things, and they're not designed to push. So if you look at the chart for a generator, it'll say that your strategy, which I call the power strategy, which is really one of the 2 most important parts of the design. So when you're looking at your type, what you really want to know is what your strategy is, because without following that strategy, you're automatically, in a way, set up to lose. You're in friction and inertia, and you're going to have more negative karma than you would want to have, and you're going against the flow of the universe. So for generators, it's to respond. So you're designed to be triggered. You're designed to, in a way, have a destiny in front of you that life will show you. Life will bring it to you, and you're designed to follow that destiny through what shows up at the right time that your gut says yes to. So when someone asks you a question, you light up. When someone says, do this, you can go forward with it really quickly if, again, you sense it in your gut and it's the right thing. It's not saying that every response you're supposed to do, and that's a challenge for generators too, is they try to do too much and try to handle too much, and then they burn themselves out of energy. So you want to really listen to your gut and pick the quality things in life that are worth going forward with, and your gut really is your answer. And then when you go forward, you have a ton of momentum, and you get stuff done for you as well as for, whoever you're working with or whoever's involved. If it's a friend or a family member, you give the gift of surging it ahead and getting things done, and the sustainability of consistency to be able to keep it going until the end, so to speak, or forever. But you have to follow that trigger. So that's the most important part for generators to learn. Then I'll go into the second one I'm going to go into is called a manifester. So manifestors are 9% of the world, and manifestors are designed to initiate and start things. They are designed to unlock the door. The manifestors can open the door to things that have not been started, basically in a way, although it's unique to everybody, just by their own will, just by choosing to do it. And again, for manifestors, that means you want to check into, your intuition, which I think we're going to highlight a little bit today too. But that doesn't mean every project or everything is going to work. You want to follow your heart, and you want to follow your feeling on what you do start. But the key is, once you start it, you can open the door for you and other people involved. So people are good to follow manifestors when they want to start something or change something. It's not even start. It's also changing something and kind of like destroying and recreating it is also a trait that manifestors can cause very well. And that's part of the creation process. Half of creation is destruction. That's how the universe evolves. And manifestors are good with that too. The thing with manifestors is they don't contain the consistency of the generator energy. So they're going to go in more spurts. They're going to do it when they have generator energy conditioning them, as well as just astrological cycles that are going through. So there are times when you will have the sense of a generator energy based on the planets, based on the stars. So when you have it, you go with it. When you don't have it, the key is for manifestors to shut down and not try to push it. And that's the problem that manifestors can have, is they try to be the generator that keeps going and they simply don't have that energy. And now your strategy when you look is to inform. So what that means is if you're going to do something new or change something that's going to affect someone that's involved in it, you want to inform them before you do it. And there's a million reasons why. But if you do not inform them and you just do it, that's when you're going to run into friction and you're not going to have the support and the balance necessary to go forward as a group or whoever's involved if you don't let them know. It does not mean tell everybody. With manifestation in general, you don't want to tell anyone your manifestations unless they're completely intimately involved until it manifests. Once it's manifested, you can tell everybody. I just going to recommend for people not to do that. Keep it quiet. Other than you manifestors out there that have your husband, your wife, your coworker, your kids, a close friend, whatever it may be that's involved, let them know first. And it's not for permission. It's to align so that they're aware of what's going on. And then so they can adjust and be prepared. And then it'll make things work a lot smoother and easier. And now you're a manifestor. So why don't you tell me a little bit about what you've experienced in that?
It's interesting because as a manifester, like I was just thinking about one of the things that sparked me wanting to bring you on was talking about consistency. And I've had to learn over the years that I'm not always going to be consistent. And if I try to get into that mindset of like, I know Gary Vee is all hustle, 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 I'll burn out and then I won't want to touch it for a very long time. And so for me, it is paying attention to my natural rhythm, paying attention to my natural flow, also recognizing when I need to find a generator or need to go into a different energy to pull different energy. That was a big thing for me in quarantine. I think I was talking to you about that a little bit before we even got started. Like, it was really hard as a manifester in quarantine with no natural like generator sources around to find things to complete my projects. So I think it's like as a manifester, it is a learning to flow. And the one thing you were talking about with generators earlier, I notice generators, especially with kids, like if you have a kid who is like hyper and has a lot of energy, I think at one point you had mentioned a while ago that generators need to kind of burn out their energy before they can properly rest. And I just want to like point that out for all the mothers of generators, like get your kids some running around or a trampoline or something where they can burn out that energy so that they can properly rest and start over the next day. Just as like a saving grace to all moms out there who are losing it, being trapped inside with an energetic kiddo. But yeah, coming back to manifestors, like I think one of the things that helped me the most about is remembering my power, but also remembering to inform, because I kind of do my own thing to the point that it comes off as a little disrespectful to other people sometimes. So I think, like I said, knowing your human design and knowing how and maybe why you feel inclined to do things
Absolutely.
is so
And
vital.
again, you don't have to tell everybody. And if it's your own thing, manifestors need to tell no one. But if someone is involved and has been involved, that's when you really need to tell them ahead of time. And then once you do, it may, and for people out there that may cause friction in the moment, right? You may even be like, well, I don't know what they're going to say and I don't want to hurt their feelings and I don't want them to say no and all that stuff. You just got to walk through that. You're saving yourself a lot by being willing to walk through it before you take the big action or before you make the change, only if they're intimately involved. Now, going on with the kids, that was a great example with the generators, which we're going to go into our third type in a second here, which is a manifesting generator, which also has the generator energy. So the bulk of the world has this generator energy, and the kids especially, they need to be hands-on. They need to get their energy out. Like Nichole said, they need to burn themselves out in order to sleep well as that's the opposite of manifestors and another type we're going to talk about called projectors that do not want to go to bed exhausted. They are supposed to gently go off to sleep where they're not exhausted. But on the generator aspect, you need to burn out your energy. If they do not burn out their energy, they're not going to sleep correct, and they're not going to be able to rebuild their own natural source of all this energy that they have. So it's really important, but also to be active and just to have your hands on things. So besides getting energy out for mothers and fathers out there with kids, just get them hands on and doing things. They will love it. It'll help them go to sleep more if you get them involved, whether it's reading or doing something with their hands, something with, games or any of that. Because generators and manifesting generators in general are most of the world that has what we would call the ADHD thing,
Yeah.
most of them, not everybody, but it's a common trait, especially the third type, which we're going to go into now, the manifesting generators. That's the most. They're the most active, and they're going to be the most spontaneously crazy in moments. So manifesting generators are the combination of the two. So I always start with the other two so you can have the foundations of both. Now, a manifesting generator is a hybrid. They're still generators in their life source. So if you had to pick what they mostly are, I would say generators in the sense that it's better for manifesting generators to respond to life rather than initiate it. However, that's, again, relative to the chart. But in general, it's better to be triggered. And 30% of the world is a manifesting generator. So it is the second most common type. So that's why you can see 40% generator, 30% manifesting generator. 7 out of 10 people have this energy in them. Now, the difference between manifesting generators and generators is once triggered, they turn into manifestors, which means now they can open doors and they go even faster and they quantum leap. I call manifesting generators sprinters. Generators are more like joggers. They're methodical, they're consistent, and it's more of a smooth pace. Whereas MGs are stop, start, and once they get the right thing, they just explode. But at the same time, if they don't listen to their intuition and it's not correct for them, then there also can be in the most chaos because they just blasted through something that wasn't really for them and affects everybody else with that MG energy. So you have to really pause if you're an MG. You'll see that in some of the strategies listed on some of the sites, they'll tell you to respond, then pause and taste it. Make sure, take a breath, sleep on it maybe. Don't rush, give it a day or give it a few moments just to make sure, because once you go, you can't stop and you'll just go. So you have to make sure it's right. And that's what I am. I'm a manifesting generator. So I have learned this. I have learned the need for pause. And at the same time, learned that once triggered, I am an initiator. And so now I need to do what manifestors do, which is informing people like we talked before of who's going to be impacted. So you have a little bit of a mix, you MGs out there. And what that makes you is even a little more multitasking. So you're going to want to be involved in several different things, but not 1,000 things, which is what MGs try to do. They try to get their energy in everything. So you want to pick the things that really matter. And then, like Nichole mentioned, as with anybody, is cycle things around, move them forward as they're moving. And once things pause or you can't figure something out or something seems like it's stuck, or it doesn't mean that it's dead and gone. Just move on to something else. And then that will come back when the right time is, which is what manifestors want to do as well. Go forward when you have it and then just let it be until it comes around, because the majority of what you've created and started or has progressed will still come around. Just let it come around in divine timing without trying to force it.
And I think that's always a good time to just think about your intentions of it. Like you kind of directed me earlier on something that was already on my mind of just thinking about where am I taking things in my life and in what direction do I want to go? So I think even when things feel a little pause, it's just a good idea to come back into yourself and just say, where do I see, what kind of intentions can I set? But, I love a good manifesting generator. And you were asking me earlier about manifestors, but I think one of the, my secret weapon for manifesting so quickly is that when I have something brewing, I always find my supportive manifesting generators, and then I tell them, and they just fuel that fire for me. It's like all the good things at once is they have just a special energy. You guys have a special energy about you that just is excitable and it's fun and it's
Hmm.
direct and it just helps a manifester. Like if you're a manifester, having a great manifesting generator in your life is a total power move because you have people cheering you on. They're just fueling all the good things in your life. And I hope no matter what design you are, that you have people who, that when you tell your big dreams to, that they're all like, hell yes. So I hope that you have the people who are fueling your manifestations anyway. But yeah, manifesting generators. Now, the thing I personally noticed about manifesting generators, maybe you can speak on this, it seems like there's a focus issue.
Well, there can be if they're not aware of their design. Correct.
Can't
That's
be.
where the
Okay.
obsessive compulsive and the disorders can come in, because of having so much energy, and the contradiction where even when people haven't accessed this information yet, they will have experienced this as them, right? So they feel that they're a generator and that they should let life happen, and then when it comes, say yes and go. But then they also have this manifestor quality in them, and this is where it gets important to have someone that knows what they're talking about to help you, because some of you manifesting generators have more of a manifestor quality than others. So for me personally, having the will channel, I actually have a pure manifestor channel. So I can initiate and push things based on my heart's desires when it feels right. But some manifesting generators really do not. They're really totally designed to be triggered and then push. But a lot of the energies out there aren't aware of their design, and then they're trying to be something they're not. So what happens is they're trying to force things, and it's, even if it hasn't displayed itself in the world yet, it's in their head, or it's in their energy field, it's in their body, of 1,000 things at once, or something that they're obsessively wanting and feeling the urge to have to push forward, but they're not shutting down and waiting. Hey, it's not my job to push this now. Let me focus on something else. And then the aspect of need for grounding. Everybody needs it, but I would say generators and MGs, it's very important to have structure and to have grounding, because other than that, you're going to be flying in the air often, but you want to land, then go back up, then land, then go back up. So you need that focus. And having said that, for people that are surrounded by generators or manifesting generators that are not themselves, such as you, Nichole, if you were surrounded by someone and you had that energy going on in you, it could also be a positive, could become a negative without balance if you can't control it yourself. And then you start to feel unfocused because you're burning out your system. So grounding is extremely important, especially for manifesting generators. And deciding what to push and what to be responsive to, because you have both, and you have to learn the mechanics of both. So it is a little bit more complicated, being honest, in the type sense, to learn what it's like to be an MG, and you need to go explore what makes me an MG, because they're so different.
I love that you mentioned grounding, because I love, and I always know when I'm around a generator, because I don't have that natural generator energy within my own design. But I always know when I'm around one. But there are generators who I feel very overwhelmed by, or feel like I take on their, it's almost like a generator anxiety ungrounded turns into like some serious anxiety. But I always know when I'm around somebody who is a generator or a manifesting generator who is like overwhelmed or anxious or not grounded within their own body, because I just immediately take
Mm-hmm.
that on. So it's just something to know, especially for the non-generator designs. Like if you are around a certain person and they make you feel uh, overwhelmed or anxious, just pay attention that they just might need kind of a direction to ground. I think also as a manifester, I find my power in being able to see where people need to focus, especially manifesting generators. Um, that is like, I don't know if that's just my personal design or if that's just the trait of manifestors, but I very easily see for manifesting generators, if they've got a bunch of things going in the pot, which one might be
Right,
most
right.
important to
I think
focus
some of
on.
that is just to do with you listening to your intuition, and you live it. And
Mm-hmm.
also you have that spontaneous,
Yeah.
splenic, quick intuition. So it will be easy for you to pick up on it quickly and kind of be able to direct. That perfectly leads us into the next type, as who's really designed to do that, but in a different way, which is projectors. So the fourth type is 20% of the world. and we know Christy is a projector, and who you worked with. And projectors are designed to be guides, directors, organizers, managers, but only in the sense of when they're invited. So the strategy of a projector is to be invited, which is the most important strategy to me out of all of them. Projectors either succeed, which is their theme. They're seeking success when people come to them that want them to shine light on things, to direct things, to clear out blocks that they cannot see themselves. So when you have a good projector around you that can see into you, and you invite them in when it's correct for you, just the stars align and things really, really go very well. And things become organized, and things become, again, light where there was dark. You are being reflected to a sense from a projector. But the issue is when projectors try to push what they see on other people, it doesn't work. And all the design types will get frustrated that are not projectors. And even projectors on projectors will get frustrated when the projector is trying to push. So projectors, you need to be the most patient of all the types, and trust in life. And when you're watching something that you'd like to adjust, let that other type, the manifestors, the generators, and the manifesting generators, let them walk through their process. Because when you cut it off, you're not only forcing and pushing upon them it's not going to work, but you're also preventing what they're going to do for you. Because we're supposed to go through the steps of starting things, getting them going, sustaining them, getting them prepared, so to speak, for you to just fill in, and you're already at your queen chair, so to speak. But you have to allow that process with other people. And projectors see the world very differently in general than the other types. Although, again, there are many different types of projectors. Christy actually is a unique projector, as a mental projector. So you have to learn your aspect as a projector again of how it works for you. But when your success and when your growth comes is by people, yes, inviting you, then you're able to give your advice or your thoughts on things. But it's also to be invited into anything, for projects, new jobs, new relationships, money, anything comes through a physical invitation from a person. So your spark comes through a person, where the other types, it doesn't necessarily have to come through a person. Projectors look into people and they learn about themselves through others. So they're actually not learning as much about their own experience. They're learning who they are through the other types and the other people that they see. So you want to be watching, and I like to call it actively observing. You don't just sit there and do nothing and, oh, I'm a projector, I have to wait. No, you're actively observing and watching and waiting for the right time. And then when the puzzle pieces click, all of a sudden that person sees what they need to change, or they see what they need to do next, or you get invited into the aspects of success for you by being patient enough to allow it to come. Now, finishing that, all manifestation is universal from all people. It doesn't matter what type you are. You have to create your reality, and the more focus, feeling, and energy and time you're putting into it, you will manifest from the inside out. But how it comes in quantum mechanics in this world for a projector is it comes through a conduit of a human being. How it works for generators is they are triggered into something. And how it works for manifestors, largely, not fully, but largely, is by opening the door and deciding to do it.
I think it's really interesting. I have a lot of projectors in my life. And the thing I know about projectors is even my 9-year-old who's a projector, like, she gets so frustrated not feeling heard. Like, if she's in a room of people and she's saying something, 9 times out of 10, she doesn't feel like anybody's listening. And so I think that's a common thing for people who are projectors, to feel like their voice doesn't matter. And I love what you said, is just like, it really matters. Like, it matters almost a little bit more than everybody else's. It's just the timing of allowing people to ask for your opinion. Because I do find personally, when I have a projector in my life who tries to offer their opinion without me asking for it, I feel extra annoyed. It's almost like, and it's so funny because I have to like say to myself, okay, it's just because this person's a projector, just let it go, but it's interesting the way projectors feel heard, feel seen. And if you are a projector and you're feeling not heard and not seen, like what are some things that they can
Well, I mean,
do
number
for
one
that?
is just to have strength within yourself. Have confidence within yourself that it doesn't matter what anybody thinks or hears or says from the outside, which is, a whole nother level to the game where you realize you're looking at a movie. And that movie is designed to help you learn and create what you want to experience, and to not be so attached to what other people think or say, which can be a projector quality where you care too much about what people think. So patience and confidence in yourself, then you want to have the right people around you. And especially projectors, they're the most sensitive to the other beings in general. So to generator energy, to manifestors, pushing them into new things, they're going to be the most sensitive. So you really want to have trustworthy people around you. And honestly, if you really want functionality and things to be harmonious, it's when you have people that understand their designs around you and they understand who you are, the basics of it. And then things can function and people can treat you in a different way and be aware. See, the thing with projectors is it just came onto the planet in the 1800s. So there were not projectors 500 years ago. It is a new evolution of the human genome and the human design. So projectors are the most fresh, new ones, and they're really totally against the grain of the push, rush society and make it happen. They're completely wired differently. They look at life differently. So it's really special if you're a projector, but you have to learn this aspect of life and realize patience is the key, and observing and paying attention is the key, because when it's your time, you become, not only do you shine with who you are, you're heard, you become a director and a manager of the other design's efficiencies, in whatever capacity that may be for you. But you have to be patient enough to allow that, and you have to manifest yourself to be around the right people that see you for who you are.
And I think as somebody who's not a projector but has a ton of projectors in my life, I always am trying to be conscious to invite them in, invite them to speak, ask their opinion, invite them to do things, invite them to be a part of things. And so if you are somebody who has a lot of projectors in your life, but isn't one you're not one yourself, it's important for you to extend the invite, ask their opinion, allow them to feel seen and heard, but also pay really close attention, because they know timing better than just about any other design. And if they're telling you to slow down, you should slow down. I've learned that the hard way a couple times by not listening, but projectors are
Absolutely.
very
And
knowledgeable.
that
We
leads us
invite
into
them.
the last type, which is a reflector, which is only 1% of the world, less than 1%, which is the projector's projector. And I have several reflectors around. People start to look at their friends and family, and a lot of them start to notice that they actually have a reflector in their life. But they are the most unique, and they are the most feminine in the way that everything for them is, in general, based on their environment and based on who they're around. And they're designed to act in the element of surprise. So their strategy is just to be in the unknown of what's occurring and let the magic happen. The most patience required, also the greatest guides and directors you can have, if they're patient like a projector, again, to allow the process. And what your gift is really, besides being in exploration and being in the unknown, and you have to follow the lunar cycle, okay? You have to literally follow a 28-day cycle where you might not know the answer for a month until the moon cycle through. You also represent the collective of what's occurring. So the health and wealth of the community is being directed by the reflector that in a way has an intuition for the whole group. So whether it's business or family, a reflector really is your navigating force for where the group is collectively that you cannot feel yourself. And that's largely because the other designs, although co-creative, are more involved in their own process and can't feel the collective need as much as a reflector could. And they amplify people like crazy. And so do projectors, having to say this. They amplify our talents and gifts just by being around them, even if they're not doing anything. They cause us to grow really quick. And then we provide them with the energy and the doing and the manifesting ability for them so that their life can thrive too. So manifestors, generators, and MGs, although different, kind of are in one category, and then projectors and reflectors, although different, are kind of in a completely different category.
It's just so fascinating to hear you talk about all the different types, and just as you're, I hope you guys are looking at your charts and just thinking about who in your life might be what, and you can always go and look up their charts. But this, like, we could sit here all day and talk about this, but this I think was so helpful as like a base knowledge of. And I would love if you're open to it, having like coming back on to talk about the centers, and maybe some of the profiles or some of the, not self themes. But I would love for you to come back on and talk about more, because we could talk about it for hours. But we're running out of time. Yeah. But is there anything you want to
I just want to add to people, and we'll highlight it a little bit on the next one as well. But besides your type, the most important part in your chart is your authority. And that's where your intuition lies. And it's your body that knows the answer. So you really want to learn your authority just as much as your type. So if you're looking at two things and you never heard me talk again, you want to know those two things. You want to know where your intuition is located in your body, because it's different for everyone. Some of us, it's really quick, like Nichole. Some of it is slow and through time, like, Christy's would be. Mine is my gut, and I have to pause. So everybody has a different aspect of intuition, but this is the most vertical you can be. This is the most connected you can be to God, to source, to your to the quantum field, to your soul, as far as what to do in life and yeses or nos. So you want to check out your authority for sure. And there's no other system I've ever seen that can explain and simplify and differentiate your intuition as much as what human design can do.
Yes. And I would love, like I said, I'd love to have you back on and talk about that. And if you guys would like to book a session with Jarin, how can they
easiest way is
you?
Through my email, which is jarin@jarinkenyon.com. So JARIN @JARINKENYON.com. That's the easiest way to just connect with me. Or you can find me on Facebook. My name is on Facebook, and you can send me a message there. And I work with people, whether it's one time or whether it's 100 times. It's all up to you. And human design is just one element of what we work with. My other passion and what I've developed is a manifestation system that now I'm using superior math in the form of shapes, and using Tesla 369 energy, quantum energy, through different shapes and different ways, so that you can manifest quicker and easier. So if any of those things interest you, just reach out to me. And also check out my radio show that I co-host called Rise Up Radio Show, which is on YouTube. It's on Facebook as well, but there's a YouTube page, Rise Up Radio Show. We also have a backup because they took us down for a few weeks. So the Rise Up Radio Show Network is another one that you can locate us on. So go to Rise Up Radio Show Network, and we talk about these things, and we have guests on, and you can also connect with me through there.
And you guys are absolutely going to want to connect with Jarin, because like I said, it was such a pivotal, life-changing aha moment for me on more than one occasion. And if you want to learn more about yourself, he is a great person to guide you in that way. I'm so grateful you came on today. Make sure you connect with him, follow him, watch the Rise Up Radio
you're
Show.
Be
you
on.
might even see me in a couple weeks on there.
November 8th. November 8th. You will be on the show. Check that one out. Christy and you. It'll be a fun.
Yes. Tag team reunion. But yes, thank you, Jarin. Make sure to check Jarin out, and make sure to check me out on www.NicholeEaton.com. I love you all. Thanks for your support. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one personalized soul therapy session with me, or catch a live event by visiting www.NicholeEaton.com, or follow me on Instagram at NicholeEaton.xo. Thank you.